Else live here on twitch.tv and now premiering officially on Podcast One, also at hackerhamin.podbean.com and where all fine podcasts can be found. That's right, we're back. It's the Conspiracy Horsemen. If this is your first time, strap in, infidels, for your awakening, because it's the camouflage chameleon, the ninja scale in your building. No time to grab your gun. We already got your wife and children. A hit percent of the president to raid your residence because we had secret evidence and documents on how they raped the continents. And that's right, and we're here today to crush all of those little infidel mindsets that you have and open your eyes wide, because you're about to ride with a Conspiracy Horseman. Big Stevie Cool, Big Sal, and the Greek god Papadon, and Ayatollah Telayi bin Hamin. YOLO! Yes, what's up, you guys? Body the verse right there, fourth chamber. Rizzer style. So glad to be on, and if you're a first-time listener, we want to say thank you so much, because we know things have expanded, and we're here to expand your mind. And you know, this is going to be a big opportunity for us, as Vince Russo has allowed us to be on his platform, and we know that he's got a lot more followers and listeners. But chances are, if you're a wrestling fanatic, you're also plugged into the conspiracy world, because, you know, it's such a niche culture of being online and checking the sheets that you can't miss out on some of these news stories. So you're in the right place. This is the Conspiracy Horsemen, and it's four wrestlers who are talking like we do in the locker room, who are some of the smartest and most awake guys that I know, and we came together to form this unstoppable force of truth seekers. So, hey, welcome, and thank you, Podcast One, Vince Russo. And if you're on twitch.tv watching the exclusive, you're way ahead of the game. And if you're at the hackerhamin.podbean.com, you're listening to the uncensored version, because you can handle TV mature language, and that's what we're here for. But right now, I want to welcome all my brothers and start off with straight out of New York City, the Greek god Papadon. How's it going, brother?
I'm just chilling in the cut. I'm a little, actually, I'm very excited about this opportunity with Podcast One. I think we're going to blow the door right off the hinges and show everybody that what we present is the ultimate brand of intelligence and flavor and truth and justice. But I am also a little disappointed, because I figure the first time around, you know, right out the gate, we'd come out like a strong force, like Voltron. And then we have Stevie over there with sleeves on. What the hell's going on, Stevie?
I just get you warmed up. Well, you know what? When I have my sleeves off, my decibel level's about four decibels too high, according to one of the commenters on my YouTube channel. So I need to wear sleeves, bring it back down to what they call unity when you're an audiophile.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well,
the sleeves, you know, all right, I'll take it off. I have shirt on underneath this time.
All right, no nipple gate this time. But you and ITY, you're hearing the smooth sounds of the audiophile himself, BWO Stevie Richards, the man with all the tech, all the free gym stuff. Hey, if you got a business and you want to send somebody something free so they don't have to, write you an email, Stevie Richards will gladly take it at BWO Stevie. Hit him up. But you know him as the ECW legend. Stevie, how's it going, man?
Everything is great. I'm really excited. There's been a lot of positive momentum, and people have been coming over to check out the Conspiracy Horsemen from our Raw SmackDown review show. Yep. And not to mention the organic growth since we basically have just started this. It feels like we've been doing it forever. You know, we've been studying these conspiracies for a very long time, and it's weird. There's very few instances where social media and Facebook and online presence actually bring together people for positive stuff like this, and that's what happened to us.
Yeah, has it been since August? Did we start? Was that when we kind of all really came? I mean, I know you and I did.
It wasn't that long ago. It was only not even 6 months ago.
Yeah, and it's just grown to a beast that I'm glad we almost can't control. And unfortunately, a lot of it lately has to be in real time of what's going on, because we can't even go back and look at some of the throwback conspiracies we want to, because the world's so ever changing that our fan base is giving us great information. We have to try and keep up with it all, man. But of all of us, these other two guys I like, but this is the guy I like the most, and that is my boy, the legend himself, the full-blooded Italian, Big Sal, the Big Salbowski. How you doing, brother?
Brother, I'm the Pavarotti of the Illuminati. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Doing good. Also, it's Grandpapa Vince now, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Announcement.
Congratulations to him on that. And salute to him.
Yeah.
So thank you for having us. And hopefully we will keep bringing you the outstanding educational entertainment you've come to grow accustomed to on this channel.
Did you
I'm
know?
going to follow up with a conspiracy, though, because it's really within the realm of possibility that Vince has just made up the story to avoid watching SmackDown for a week, and and I couldn't blame him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any ultrasounds or sonograms or any
proof.
pink
There's
or
no
blue
actual proof.
balloons bursting or anything like that.
Tell
I'm
me you want
just
to see the
saying.
birth certificate.
Listen, he beat us to the punch before we can make up the story about being grandparents. So.
See, I slacked off yesterday. Like I said, I was playing Doom last night because I kind of forgot, and I got some messages on my phone. I went, "Oh, this is SmackDown, damn it!" And I turned it on, and I went, "What the f- am I watching?"
We were playing a version of Doom too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still in Hell World while watching what was going on SmackDown. So, again, Vince, smart man.
Well, just to be clear here,
Oh God.
Did you fix your phone, by the way? Because I know it usually breaks on Tuesdays.
My phone?
Yeah. You
At
get
least
real
for 2
quiet.
hours.
I don't hear anything from you, so I assume your phone's broke or you're charging it or something.
No, you guys are just talking so quick, I can't catch up. Jesus Christ. The only other person I know who talks so fast has been when he intros the show. That's it. But besides the fact, the expressions and views on this show are just in accordance with these individuals right here. Do not pertain to me. Hi, Paul. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Uncle Vince. I love it. I'm a WWE mark. Sign me.
All right, let's get ready for our first bleep on podcast 1. Stop being a fucking pussy. Okay? There.
And
Bleep it.
and you'd talk too fast too if you had 438 wives to have to get a word in edgewise. Your mouth would be running a mile a minute as well. And I got another conspiracy that I heard Vince's grandson is actually going to be named Bro Russo. So they're going to go with Bro as the kid's first name.
Broheem.
Broheem. Hey, Broheem.
Is Vito the Godfather? Or is Bolin the Godfather?
What is Bolin? I don't know. Bolin might be the actual father.
Wow.
But
Well, it was nice being on podcast 1.
Good night, podcast 1. Good night, everybody.
You can bleep that one too, please. I beg of you.
So yeah, you guys, but you've been introduced to the crew, and if you're a long-time listener, and a lot of people who do find out about us end up binging our stuff, and I appreciate that. There's always going to be a lot of inside jokes here from shows that go back, because this is how wrestlers roll down the road together. We built this friendship, and if you're not sure of something, I suggest you go back and listen to the whole litany of stuff at hackerhamin.podbean.com. There's some with great guests, real high-level guests that are far superior in intelligence to the 4 wrestlers are, and then
You'll notice because we're quiet usually the whole show.
Yeah, well, we got to learn too, but we're always on a chat together trying to learn, share videos, and that's the best thing you can do. You can send us links to things that we might be missing. Our email is conspiracyhorseman@gmail.com, or our individual Twitters, which you can follow us, are at Greek God Papadon. Sal is at Dead No Save, at BWO Stevie, and I'm at bin_Hamin, BIN_HAMIN. So, but that's the easiest way to interact with us and send us stuff that might have fallen through the cracks. Usually we're pretty well up on it, but usually 2 or 3 times a week, somebody does hit us up with something that we haven't seen. I watched that Smiley Face Killer documentary, and I know Infinite Fringe is doing something down the road on that. That was a pretty long documentary to watch. It's just about a lot of people getting murked by possibly the secret society, but just an example there. So appreciate everybody who's been sending us stuff, but right now what we want to do is just kind of go back, because if you're following this, then you're most definitely awake. You're not what we call a Nancy Brown figure, somebody who's just closed-minded, flyover state, or wants to watch their reality shows and believe everything that's on The Bachelor or coming through your CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News fake news feed, because we don't get any of our information from our sources that way. Once it finally gets to that level, it's usually about 3 or 4 weeks behind of what we've already seen. So what we want to do now is a little buffer to talk about the times that we started to wake up and notice things were wrong, and some of the big points in our life, and maybe look back at some of the shows we've done, and because it all can seem a little too political sometimes, but there's a lot of fun stuff that once we go down these rabbit holes, you might never find the real answer, but at least you do the research to wake yourself up and wake up those around you, you guys. So I'll start it off with you, Stevie. What is one of the events or a couple of things that you really enjoy in conspiracy that keep you so charged up about this stuff, man?
Well, as we go deeper down into this rabbit hole, guys, I don't really enjoy conspiracies as much because the more you know is not always a great thing. Ignorance truly is bliss, as they say, as a catchphrase or a cliche. The most famous one growing up was the Jfk assassination, and that was more of, I guess, what at that time in my life considered to be a fun conspiracy to research, and magic bullet theory, and even at a young age, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. But the thing I witnessed, just like a lot of people within our generation witnessed firsthand, was 9/11, yeah. and talking about the things even throughout the day as it occurred didn't add up, and then talking about the Building 7 with the controlled demolition that they even pointed out live on the air that it resembled a controlled demolition, and it actually, and I was watching the BBC footage 20 minutes before it collapsed, saying it collapsed. That was the first time ever, like real time, I was like, wow, this is not the story. There's something going on, and that just set me on a path to where I'm at today with you guys.
And you were a long-time established worker by then, so as we all think the same thing, that everything's a work because we control the crowd, to see those glaring mistakes like it's a SmackDown script, just to see that pointed out, and I know that was good, and right in the face of the masses is just too much to turn your head away from. And then even follow-ups that happened 5 or 6 years, like a Michael Moore Fahrenheit 9/11, where it starts stooging off the Carlyle Group and all of these private military companies that were all in it just to make a buck, and then things really just start spiraling out of control once you pull that one card out, all the house of cards falls.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, and it's a theme within our shows, we don't lean or do any kind of confirmation bias as far as what conspiracy, like 9/11 saying, building demolition, no planes, whatever the missile attack on the Pentagon, whatever
energy
the
weapons
theories are out there. Yeah. What's that?
Energy weapons,
Yes, there's all these theories out here. We look at every single one of them, but the main point and the important thing with all these conspiracies is the story or the narrative out of all the ones I just mentioned. The official story has the most holes in it. The official story has the least amount of credibility. And that's really what we're trying to point out. Hey, we don't know the exact truth. We don't know we know as sure as hell what did not happen that day. And that was the official story.
Yeah, we know we're being worked at that time. And a lot of people, their minds are open from 9/11. And I even saw somebody today putting up, and it's hard for me not to troll these things, but like there's a bus tour that's going to the 9/11 museum, and like they wanted $165 just from where I am. And I'm just like, all these people's moms, the Nancy Browns around me weighing in, and I just was like, I had to legit hold my hand back from typing and putting in, links to our podcast, just because it's some people it's not going to be worth getting into and ruining your whole day for, but like-minded people and the best people will always find each other. So I'll come back around again, Stevie, because I want to ask you a couple more questions. Sal, what was one of your awakening moments, man, where something just really stuck out to you, you really loved it?
Well, the first rabbit hole I got to climb down. I was working for a 911 operator, and I got to watching. You're right.
Yeah.
What you guys are witnessing right now is actually
this episode is sponsored by Fritos.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
brought to you by Broken Glass.
Yeah. This is something you guys are all going to love and get used to. Pop it on, usually types or opens something, or some type
or
of
he'll
rapper.
make a sushi meal.
Yeah,
They're
so-
all spoiled right now. They're all spoiled because he's actually stationary and he's not in the car.
Yeah, he's not in the car.
So-
So God love him, but he's comic relief sometimes, guys. So you'll grow to love the Greek god
Every
Papadon
time,
Zanzic.
dude. Come on.
And some quips that you thought were the way they were your whole life will be erased, and it will totally rewrite history on a lot of sayings.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
It'll be Mandela Effect of some funny shit.
but like say, I'll go back into it, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it was the first rabbit hole that I started following down was the Franklin cover-up. And that even tied in. They even tied that shit into 9/11 because Bush was reading the fucking little ducky book.
My pet goat.
And and he was on the same plane that they had used to bring kids over back and forth all over the country for the Franklin cover-up, the credit union. So once that started to happen, all these other little things started to pop up, and then let me check this out. Let me go look at this. Let me go look at that. And if you've heard me once, you've heard me a million times say it. It's Cosby math, because out of 100 examples, let's say one is right. And you say, well, the odds of that is terrible, 1%. 1% means one child was murdered in front of political figureheads for their sexual pleasure, or they wanted to, or they were trying to get somebody else. 1%. One. That's one too many.
Yeah.
So let's say 99 are bullshit and made up stories and everything else. What about that one that's never going to get any justice? So at that point, then it was like, well, even if let's say all these people are lying, one of them isn't. So at that point, I was in. I was in for penny and for pound. That was it, man. It's done.
Speaking of Cosby math, you see this guy actually? They're they're going to retry him. They're choosing a new jury
good,
now.
Though. He doesn't look blind and invalid anymore.
No, but then he just
right.
did a comedy show in front of his hometown.
Yeah, he looked all right.
That's just such a total PR move. I wouldn't doubt if they hand select Bill Cosby. I wouldn't doubt if they hand selected every audience member and put them in there just to make the big work out of the show of it all.
Because I don't know if y'all remember when they were toting him through Philly. He was blind. He had cataracts in his eyes. He needed people to lead him around like he was James Brown. Yeah. And now when I saw him, he was looking up. He was looking, he was looking all right.
Yeah, man, it's just a crazy, I don't know, that's business exposing bad, in my opinion. They're about to go at you again, and your priority is doing a comedy set. You know what I mean?
Well, the analogy with that is, and Papadon doesn't, the views I'm about to express don't relate to Papadon either. But when Vince did the steroid trial, a guy that gets angry at people that sneeze, he thinks sneezes are a sign of weakness, yet he's going into the courtroom with a neck brace on, showing how weak he is. Fragile. And how you need to sympathize with him or have sympathy for him. It's the oldest trick in the book, going into the courthouse. I think even Snuka, they were bringing him in as a frail old man for the trial. It's just the best way to get sympathy from a jury.
Did you check the conspiracy Horsemen email? Because you're doing your King of the Segways again. I got a Snooki email in the bag for it actually today.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So this guy's stooging it off. Go ahead, Sal. What were you saying?
No, that was it, man. Like I said, it's just once that door opened up, I've always been a fan. Like I told you when we first started talking, when you first started doing your podcast, and actually that's when me and Papadon realized we came from the same neighborhood. I used to go to the library and read all the books on UFOs and monsters and bullshit like that. And that was when I was a little kid. Used to, was always into it. And then you realize that's kind of harmless, kind of nothing. And now you realize there's so much scarier shit than UFOs. Because you know what? Not for nothing. If aliens showed up, they wouldn't be the worst thing that happened to this world right now.
Yeah.
So, so it's like all the stuff that, scared me as a kid, or, I really wanted to find out, is that real? Is that real? It doesn't matter because nothing else I knew was real. Everything else got a little bit more askew, a little bit more fucked up because the people who I trusted, you shouldn't trust.
Right. Yeah. Everything, all your conditioning from K through 12 is just eliminated at that point, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. And then, key points I remember in high school of being told and you're like, that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And now it's become pop culture. Rick and Morty. I don't know if anybody's a fan of Rick and Morty, and little things that they throw in, like another super scientist. He goes, "Oh, did you go to school?" He goes, "No, I dropped out of school. School's no place for smart people."
Yeah.
Little things, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And now it's become common culture to homeschool your kids. Now everybody's that's the big thing. Homeschool your kids so they don't get bullied. Homeschool your kids so they're safe. Homeschool your kids so you know what they're learning. That way they're not learning the curriculum.
Common Core.
Yeah. Common Core and the bullshit curriculum they're teaching in school about, now everybody's a giant, pardon my French again, giant pussy, because now you can't play dodgeball in school anymore because somebody will get hurt, somebody will lose. Yeah. So it's like all the things that we grew up with, and when we grew up, it was cool, nobody cared. But now it's a different game. So, but that rabbit hole got opened up, and then you just needed the excavator to rip that fucking hole open and make it bigger.
and speaking of the game, the guy who wants to play the game the worst is our man Greek God popping on. Pop, what is one of the, I mean, you were ground zero pretty much for 9/11, so I know that had a huge impact on you, and we always take your view of that, to heart extremely. Is there anything before that really had you shook, or is there anything that you really enjoy just studying immensely?
Well, the thing that opened my eyes the most was when Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik got busted in the same car when they were working each other
on the turnpike.
On the turnpike. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, 9/11 was the eye opener. That was the eye opener for me, even though I was there and I witnessed everything firsthand. It wasn't until years later where someone said something and I raised the eyebrow and went, "Wait a minute." And then I looked over here and I looked over there, went down this rabbit hole, that rabbit hole. And then lo and behold, what one of my passions are anyway, is finding out about the Federal Reserve and the scam and the Rothschilds and the central banks and how they're raping this country and keeping everyone in debt because they're making money off of us being in debt. So that's basically it. I mean, look, I'm going to tell everyone out there, conspiracy theories, they're just theories. Could they be the truth? Yeah, we're not saying that you have to believe in everything you hear. That's the point of this podcast, is to question everything, because as wrestlers, we've seen angles from the inside, we've seen angles from the outside. And when I mean angles, I mean storylines that within the product of a brand of a certain wrestling company. And with that being said, we're all attuned to look at everything with an open eye and basically follow the first rule of wrestling: keep your mouth shut and your ears open and your eyes open, and everything will come to you. And we apply that in the real world, and 9 out of 10 times what we watch on TV or what's told to us is garbage. It's nonsense. It's just skewed.
So you have been watching SmackDown?
Actually, I did not see SmackDown. I did watch Raw, but the reason I didn't watch SmackDown is for other reasons. But regardless of the fact, Uncle Paul, Uncle Aunt Steph, Uncle Vince, I love you guys. Regardless of that, we want everyone to realize one thing. We're not children. We're all adults. At least some of us are. The other 99% of people who claim to be adults but are too busy worrying about the Olivia Munns and the Nancy Browns, okay, and aren't enjoying the New Day like I love the New Day, unlike Sal. But regardless of the fact... How dare you? Regardless of the fact, point is this. Believe nothing of what you read and only half of what you see, because there's always an agenda behind it, and always follow the money. That's what we're trying to teach the people. Enlighten you guys.
Yeah, man, I think that's spot on. For me, Stevie said with the JFK, I think that's for all of us too, because as growing up of kids of the 80s, they were speaking out enough in the 20 years that. Go ahead.
Clarify something?
Yep.
1980s. With Stevie, it was 1880s.
Oh.
So, wow.
Yeah, he's big. He's big. He was big into the Lincoln conspiracy, and then when he saw it again,
I was booked in that promotion too back then.
Stevie, I love you, man.
I love you too. This is a running theme too, ladies and gentlemen.
They do love each other.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and that's the locker room because we tear each other apart, but it's just to toughen us up. But it's all in jest.
I never come after you though, Ben.
Oh, that's because
Never,
I'm always watching you, Infidel. There's no strike you can have against me. But yeah, the 80s was kind of the JFK real book release conspiracy time, and then as we saw this year in November, the JFK files released. Never thought it would happen in our lifetime because it got pushed back and kayfabe so many times from the people, and even a lot of it is redacted, but it goes right to the heart of that the CIA was in on it. Might not name the Bush family and regime directly, but the ties are all there. It doesn't matter if it's the Oliver Stone movie, that came out in the early 90s to really shake things up and show what was what. There was a time of awakening there too, where it was a soft awakening because we didn't have the power of the internet and communication like we do now to bring like-minded people on different boards or what have you. You just had to read your book and hopefully pass it along to somebody else. But for me, it was almost sorry to undercut you guys. 9/11 was, I remember being in high school and just on a family visit to Atlanta to my relatives and watching the whole Oklahoma City bombing thing happen. And just the way the story was being portrayed, and again, the release of information. And I was like, there's no way a single truck bomb could take that out. And then they're talking about bombs inside of the building, and then the story switches. So that was one of the first things where I was, that show, The First 48 wasn't out yet, but over that course of that week, I watched the story change so much from what was put out as an official narrative to where we were 4 or 5 days later was a completely different spot altogether. So I don't know. And now I'm still looking at that. There's a new stooge from the CIA, retired, I think his name's Snodgrass, who put out some videos where saying he was offered $1 million to be one of the bombers as he was about to go out and retire that way. So it was interesting that we're still following up on this kind of stuff. And again, there's supposedly bombs that were planted inside World Trade Center that you can see footage and video before planes hit, where and you can hear them and hear testimony from firemen who are in the middle of a post-traumatic or traumatic stress situation, and they're going off, and that stuff again for the Nancy Browns just gets swept to the wayside.
Let me ask you a question, man. Remember back in the 80s, none of this stuff ever came to light, aside the JFK, not so much even. There was always somebody said there was another shooter, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But do you remember the biggest conspiracy theory was fucking Elvis?
Oh yeah, I mean a huge one.
Remember when the book came out and there's a picture of him watching the funeral and they spelled the name wrong? That was the biggest expose that anyone had to offer. Now, to me, you look at that and again, it's harmless. Who cares? One man.
Yeah.
Who cares? But at the same time, that is what they pushed as truth, and that was the Nancy Brown's fix for oh my God, that's real.
Yeah, I almost did
the book and the audio and all the other stuff that came out. Once that audio came out, I was sold. That was oh man, that's real. It's audio.
But Elvis never died. He just went back home.
Well, that was the whole point. He never died.
No, he went home.
Well,
he was an alien.
Yeah.
Well, he was an alien. So
I almost did a bit on Elvis being dead, but here's his corpse. We dug him up when I opened for Honky Tonk Man. I didn't do it. I didn't do for Hamin. Which I'll upload that video soon. But it was a solid 9 minutes of stand up. Although I did a lot this really, a groaner joke on Vegas and all that kind of stuff, and it was just running headfirst into a wall because I wanted to
No, those people sucked. That crowd sucked.
Yeah, the video doesn't do it justice completely. They were with some of the stuff when you can bag on the Amish and that kind of stuff, man. But
is it uncomfortable to watch? Because I want to see it.
Yeah, I'll upload it to my YouTube. I did. Here's the bit. I don't care, man. We're gonna get kicked off podcast 1 the first week, but I just did Stephen Paddock Attic killed 58 people, 489 injured. And then, what's his name? Devin Kelly killed 26 in Sutherland, Texas in a church. And I'm tired of everyone blaming ISIS being the most scary people out there. When it's these white virgins out there with guns who can shoot at will at anybody. And then in the racist part of it, in Tennessee, there was Emmanuel Sampson went into a church and killed 7. An African Muslim killed 7 in Tennessee. My question is, why are black people so lazy? And like, all I wanted to do was like the Seinfeld, why are black people so lazy? You know, like but like, dude, it was like running face first into a brick wall in there, man. But
oh man, was it silent? Was it completely silent, or did people just go, oh?
No, but that's what I wanted was a big groaner, you know,
They
like
didn't do anything.
no, they didn't. I was just like,
Tremendous.
I go, so mass murder joke, okay, those aren't getting over anymore, all right, so, you know,
Now,
like
do you think it's more of the content, or you think just people are just afraid to laugh?
they're afraid.
I think, yeah.
I don't think I didn't want to laugh there. I just wanted to.
That was funny. The setup was there, the delivery was there,
and that's pretty much how I did it, man. Like you're talking. If the work can handle anything, you know, me being an improviser, I live by that, especially. And if you guys don't know the character I do, you're not watching on Twitch, is Islamic extremist. I'm part Bin Laden, part Hitler, part Tojo, you know, part George Bush, part Saddam Hussein, whoever I need to be, Castro. And, you know, just to let people get that 9/11 PTSD out. So I really pushed the buttons, and I thought, man, here's all these shootings, and we can go that far, and then let me swerve it with a simple racist punchline, and like you could just feel the air get sucked out of the room. I cut 2 minutes out of my bit just because it threw me, you know, at first, and I was like, oh man, guys are gonna love that one. That's gonna be great.
You know what? You want to hear the funny part? Steve Carino did stand up and didn't do any of that shit, and he still got the same reaction. So
the girl who opened was absolutely brutal. She was one of those girls like, I'm out at the bar, she's like, my friends say I'm funny, like, and had no jokes, no punchline. And 5 minutes in, she's already bombed completely. And then she goes, how much time do I have left? And she's drinking wine. And the guy's like, he's like, you got 5 minutes. She went another 5, bro. And it was just like, she had no jokes whatsoever. Couldn't take it home. She just thought she had to go a full 10, like she's going to get heat if not. And then I loved it. Like, you would have loved how painful it was. I just got up there.
She went over on our time. Stevie Trainer?
wow.
Yeah. Well, I got up there and I was like, I just had the ammo ready. I was like, you can catch Morgan's next set down there at Guantanamo Bay. She'll be torturing people down there as well. Like,
Nice.
She tried to get back over me. I just let her in it, but I'll put that up.
504.
Yeah, she needs to. She had big, huge gimmicks, and I was like, you'll cover your breast in front of me, woman. I don't know who you're offending there. But, you know, it was rugged. But I'll put it up at youtube.com/bin Hamin, but I'm sure it'll get taken down just like the Wolfgang Hellbig video did. So, actually, speaking of that, I got, you know, I put in the official YouTube, whatever it is, appeal. Yeah. And I got the FU message back, like, thank you for appealing, but we see that this has violated our policy, and we're going to keep the video taken down, and your channel has a strike against it. And I just like, all right, you'll be hearing from my legal team about First Amendment right violations. I go, you were warned, pretty much. So I'm gonna have my lawyer write a nasty gram, and we'll see how it goes. You know,
this is the theme for anybody listening to this for the first time, that YouTube or media in general is really censoring all kinds of speech that doesn't go along with narratives. Yeah. And with the Las Vegas shooting, with Sandy Hook, even with 9/11, and any other shows that I used to upload for the Conspiracy Horsemen on my YouTube channel, which consists of technology and fitness stuff, they started to demonetize all my videos, including the tech and fitness ones. And the second I took the Conspiracy Horsemen shows off my channel, everything got cleared and remonetized.
And if you want to listen,
isn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know about amazing. It's demoralizing.
That's weird.
No, a guy once told me there's no such thing as coincidences in this world. So, you know what? I don't know.
Isn't that weird, huh?
Huh?
The video I'm
Yeah.
talking about is we had 2 times we had him on. 2 times. Is Wolfgang Halbig from what is it? Dear Wolfgang, revisiting Sandy Hook, who is a school safety professional, a former highway patrolman, a guy who really looks at the Sandy Hook conspiracy hoax or shooting as.
And let me
Go
point
ahead.
out to the people who have never seen it before, never once mentions the shooting.
Never. He
Never once.
He goes at everything logistically, not emotionally. Towards the end, when they try and ruin him and take him to task with this little wormy lawyer, he gets a little emotional. But we're talking about some heavy stuff here. But and even the Dear Wolfgang documentary from Marty Leeds' channel, Marty Leeds 33, got taken down.
That got blocked out.
It is back up on another side channel, and I have it backed up here. So as soon as I go over strong on YouTube, which I expect to, I'll put both back up, and we'll get a lot of play off of it. But Sandy Hook, there's just, again, like 9/11, so much there. When you do simple analysis, especially listen to, just even if they're not here, there's plenty of Wolfgang Halbig podcasts out there that will. You can't disagree with what he's saying because he's got the facts. He's done the Freedom of Information Act work and gets them cornered, and then they have to swerve and make it personal because that's all they have left after he gets
Use the Cosby math.
Yep.
The best thing,
I
though-
just want to make a point about the 9/11 thing really quick, and people are probably like, "Oh my God, you're mentioning all these different things." the theme with all these different things is that the information is already prepared and ready and everything ready to go. Like 9/11, how many minutes after the first or the second plane hit, we know who did it. We know what happened. And at the very least, I've always said this, at the very least, people should have looked into the negligence of the people in government and the military in charge of the way operations would work with this particular thing. Don't even worry about the fact that they were doing all these drills with phantom planes and phantom all these things, and they didn't know what was real or fake. The problem is that after all this went down with 9/11, as well as the Las Vegas shooting and other events, people didn't lose their jobs. People didn't get reprimanded. People got promoted.
Yeah, failed upwards.
So I want people to know the same people
Tripped
that
up the stairs.
supposedly had a hand with negligence and they didn't necessarily manually cause 9/11 to happen, but because of their bad management skills or whatever standard operating procedures they failed to follow, these people now are further in charge of those same precautionary measures to protect this country. That's what people should be in an uproar about. That's not even a conspiracy. All that has really progressed with the order of events, and people should be in an uproar about it.
2 things. Number 1, I agree with you 100%, Stevie. And the reason why people don't get in an uproar about this is because they don't want to be bothered. People are lazy. People don't want to do the extra work. They rather get their instant gratification and satisfaction ASAP. And that's the bottom line. If they're told something, sounds legit, I'll go with it. You know what? If it's not, doesn't affect me, I don't care. But in actuality, in the long term, it does. So that's number 1. Number 2, as far as Wolfgang goes, and people might get upset with the scenario that we're talking about, but you know what? Tough. We don't care. Point being is this. He didn't come about it from talking anything about shootings or anything about the children. All he said was, I am a school safety inspector that worked across the United States dealing with school safety. There are certain standards and procedures that you're supposed to follow when something occurs or to prevent something from occurring. So when this went down, how come A, B, and C did
come
not
on,
happen?
do the joke.
Okay, A, B, and 3
Thank you.
did not happen when A, B, and 3 are in the procedural guidelines. Those are the bylaws. And then when people can't give him an answer, because if they give him an answer, it exposes the truth, then they attack him, his family, his reputation, his business, whatever this. So people should realize, well, wait a minute, this guy's not coming about it from some kind of aluminum foil hat wearing kook. He's just questioning standards and practices that are already set in motion through the boards that handle the situation, and through the people and the agencies that handle the situation. It's like telling a kid, don't touch the stove, it's hot. If he touches the stove and he burns his hand, you tell him, are you okay? Told you not to touch the stove, it's hot. If he goes to touch it again, what do you do to the kid? You let him touch the stove? No, you stop him, right?
No, you hold his hand over the fire.
No, you don't do that, bro. You probably throw him down a well.
No, I think you're spot on with that, Pop. They just don't want to learn over and over again. And what's deadly apparent, especially because of 9/11 and what we're talking about predictive programming wise on past shows, where you can go back for 20 years and look at 9/11 numerology that's been released. These underground Illuminati cabals that we look at have just become so emboldened in what they want to do to push their New World Order globalist agenda, Agenda 21, depopulation agenda, that this was really one of the first major I think Oklahoma City was too, but PTSD causing, happenings that was a problem, reaction, solution, so they could rise of what's now called the deep state. I remember vividly Dick Cheney coming out right after saying we need a shadow government, and the way they pitched it was like, in case the White House does get blown up, we've got a government in place behind the scenes. But really, that was saying we here at the military-industrial complex, the NSA, CIA are all going to take over, and it doesn't matter what your vote really is at this time. Go ahead, Sally.
Just Todd, again, the way my brain works. The predictive programming, in case the White House gets blown up, Designated Survivor, show comes out on ABC.
Yeah.
Scandal, all this other shit. And I've legitimately heard people say, well, there has to be a torture room underneath the White House. I saw it on Scandal. Like it's a fucking documentary.
Yeah.
And they say, well, they get their ideas from somewhere real.
Yeah, but does that make it? Why aren't they in an uproar then? It's almost like it diffuses it. Oh, it's real. Okay, well,
yeah, I saw it.
What's on next? Wow.
There you go.
Well,
but it's okay because they saw it on prime time, and they get their ideas from real government. Oh, okay, cool. So you'd be okay with the White House?
Yeah, it's fine then.
Bunker where they torture motherfuckers.
Yeah, we don't torture, but then we've got Abu Ghraib prison, we've got Guantanamo Bay all exposed. All the mouth breathers can hear one thing and feel fine about it, but then when it comes out, it just has to roll off their backs. Go ahead, Pop.
No, I was gonna say that every movie that's made in Hollywood that has to deal with the military or the government or whatever the case may be has a CIA operative there too, or a handler, whatever you want to call him.
Operation Mockingbird.
That has to basically okay what's going to be put in the film, so no propaganda or no truth gets put in the film that might expose what's really going on. So the same thing goes with TV shows. So you know what? Who knows? Maybe there is a torture.
They're in the credits now too, where it says liaison.
Yeah.
So
now, second thing, it just came out. Trey Gowdy and the other guy on the in the government, whatever, just basically said that all these text messages just came out, and they were saying that the FBI people were being biased against Trump recently, and that there's a secret society within the FBI. We've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All of us, we all knew that. Now it's like, now it's true. Now it's for real because they caught the FBI talking about it on their text. Oh, all right.
Yeah, let's hold on to that because I want to come back to that later in the show.
I want to pull it back just a little bit because, this is once again for people. Yeah, for people that are just listening to this for the first time or being very resistant, it is information overload. It's actually the reason why, in a lot of ways, that the 24-hour news cycle moves so quickly, and people don't hang on to an event or don't hang on to corruption or Pizzagate or the email scandals or anything like that. It moves so quickly that you are going to be fatigued. You might be fatigued listening to the show at this point because it is a ton of information. So we try not to do that, but it really does all connect, and they've marginalized it and made people look really crazy with the strings on the cork board and connecting the dots and doing all this stuff. But in a real world, that really does mean that a lot of things that we're talking about are connected.
Yeah, and that's part of the greater PSYOP too, is to wear people out. They've studied this since they probably since pre-Nazi era when they were doing human eugenics experiments. But, commercials and marketing firms in the 50s had how far can you push people? What will they retain? The early MK Ultra days. And this is what they're doing, is hitting you with these false flags, these mass shootings, psychological operations, predictive programming to wear you out so they can switch gears and you don't rise up, as you'll hear me say many times, grab your pitchforks and torches and nooses, and it's time to go to work on some of these people. That's why, because they can just hit you with another shock value thing. And that thing you were so mad about goes by the wayside that they should have been held accountable for, going back to a massive thing like 9/11 where we said, these people weren't fired or brought to justice, and they failed upwards, and they can create a boogeyman out of anybody they want to. And they tried to do it with Syria. They did it with Gaddafi in Lebanon.
Well, let's concentrate on 9/11 for a second.
Yeah.
It's the famous joke by Bill Maher, for all he leans to where he leans. He goes, okay, we have all these people. We know they're in caves in Afghanistan. We know most of the hijackers are Saudis. Time to attack Iraq. What?
And that's really the basis for my character. That's where I was in 2005, 2006. I was just like, enough is. I got to at least try and get a little truth out through my art. In creating Bin Hamin to do that, was able to let them project the hatred that they can't get out anyplace else because they're so inundated with the same B-roll footage of Bin Laden with an AK-47, some guys on a monkey bars, and somebody jumping out of a foxhole, and that's all they get to see. So when I would get my ass kicked, they would enjoy it.
I didn't know they were
more.
CrossFitters.
They were. It was Seth Rollins the whole time.
Where's their workout of the day at? I got to look here.
Look, at the end of the day, just like in wrestling, you want to build your heroes, you want to build your baby faces. You got to build them off your heels.
Yep.
Golden rule. That's it. You're only as good as your villain.
Unfortunately, most of the babies end up being heel as they get exposed as time goes on. And if they aren't, and they, show themselves and go against the system, they end up on the Clinton kill list most of the time.
The original Bullet Club.
Bullet to the Head Club, yeah. So let's do another round here. That was good to talk Awakening. And again, if your head's thumping and you feel that vein in your forehead from information overload, welcome to the family.
You are in the right place.
Yeah. You know what's funny, though?
It's like SmackDown flu, sort of.
It is.
Don't listen to him, Paul. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen, like you said, the 24-hour news cycle is being sped up now. It's not 24 hours now. Now it's more like 12 hours or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Every time that goes around, you know what I think of? Remember South Park, the movie with the devil? Hey, guy, look over here with Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on, bro.
Yep.
Same thing. That's the analogy for the layman's out there.
Yeah, that's the Subway, find the ball under the cup gimmick in New York, right? Like misdirection spot for wrestling, the whole nine. But let's do. We'll go around one more, and I won't pop it on. You can set off. What conspiracy do you really enjoy? Like that doesn't bring you agita? Like that. I guess they all kind of do. I guess, but that isn't. Yeah, but is there one that we've talked about since we started in August that's like, yeah, this is the one I like to keep tabs on, or that was the most fun, or that was the most enlightening? What else you got, man?
Well, there's three.
Go ahead.
One being, like I said before, the Federal Reserve, and finding out the fact that we don't even have power over our own money, and our fiat, it's a fiat currency, and everything's a work within a work. It's like Inception, a dream within a dream.
What do you think? What do you think about the Amazon Go store then, with no money at all, just facial recognition or thumbprint hooked to an account?
I think it's horrible because, one, if it gets hacked by you or any one of your cousins over there in the Middle East, point is something can go haywire really, really soon because it's all digital. I mean, you need hard currency. I'm sorry. Number two, we're losing people. We're losing jobs.
Yeah, 350,000 checkout people could be out of work.
Well, put it this way. Okay,
they'll just reassign them somewhere else in the store.
No, they won't, because in two people work in the store. There's a technician and the guy with a gun who's supposed to be security. Well, maybe
what about the guy who's going to restock?
That's robots too.
Robots.
No, all of. No, I've seen the video of the shelves that go back and restock.
No, you're allowed to, bro. We don't have to agree with each other.
No. All I'm saying. It doesn't take some hacker in the Middle East. It doesn't take a group of people to come in and do this. All they got to do to screw this whole plan up is have some 9-year-old come in and go, Mom, I want this. She says, no, put it back. And he throws it on the floor instead of put it back in the spot it's supposed to be in. Now everything's fucked.
I don't know, man. I think
all
it's all robotics, dude.
You're probably right.
Stop it.
But I think this is the downfall of civilization.
Chip everybody.
Hell no.
Put chips in everybody.
You got to realize one thing. If you put chips in everybody, someone has to control it. So they have all the.
Somebody already put a chip in Steve. You let him. He's checked out.
All right,
No, I'm looking at these Taliban. No, they do have WODs for Taliban. Yeah. They have work out of the days. It's like a lot of money. It's sunny.
And I'm on
amazing.
And I'm on Stevie Richards Fitness, so I can't have any chips at all right now. I'm on a strict diet.
Stevie Richards Fitness is made in the USA, baby.
There is going to be a SWAT team kicking in his door because they just already pinged him because he looked up Taliban workouts.
So the other two, besides the Federal Reserve,
Sorry,
and the money being that's all right. The money being at work is aliens, obviously. Since you're a little kid. And it's funny how a couple weeks ago, Full Disclosure came out and no one said anything about it. We touched base on it because we keep our ear to the ground, but in actuality, no one's blinked an eye. And the third thing is the Mandela Effect, because and its ties to CERN, because if one or two people remember one thing incorrectly, that's one thing. But if half the population remembers something a certain way and the other half remembers it another way, that's just weird. And it's just not one instance. It's a numerous amount of tiny little things. So, I'm pretty certain that, there's more to meet the eye and, not to use a cliche Transformer reference, but, it's just basically it. Those are the three things that really, makes me wonder, wait a minute, I'll take a step back and really put the scuba gear in and deep dive in that thing and try to find out what's going on.
And if all those three topics that he just talked about, plenty of great YouTube videos out there. We're all big fans of Secure Team 10 on YouTube. If you're not a fan of Tyler's stuff, check out
Jacob Israel too.
Jacob Israel. He's doing it from kind of theologian, little religious, but still really tying everything together in a way where it's a warning and usually he's pretty good at calling things coming down the pipe before they start to really break. So that's really an excellent channel too that we.
And I'll give you a little background on Jacob. Him and he was a writer for WWE when it was WWF, and he wrote all the Right to Censor promos back in 2000. So. Awesome. He was he's a very creative guy, and he's a good friend. So he has I love his energy. I love the way he talks, the way he does research and presentation. He does it like episodes of TV shows. They're like 22 minutes once or twice a week, and really, really good stuff.
Yeah, covering a wide base of topics that we cover. So we're all linked into a group mind when it comes to that. The UFO Disclosure, I mean, there's so much out there. It's awesome. And, you can check out MUFON or whatever you want to. There's plenty of back episodes where we cover this kind of stuff. And then
just watch Men in Black. It's a documentary, dude.
But if you don't know about the Mandela Effect, go to Secure Team 10, type in Mandela Effect on YouTube and watch that video. There's tons of them out there. That's a good introduction one, and that's enough to definitely peel your hair back for about 2 weeks, man. Go ahead.
Just the other side of that coin, go to College Humor and look up the Sinbad Shazam video.
Yeah.
Or go back to our podcast that we did about the Mandela Effect and give it a listen, give it a view, because we touch it and we deep dive in it, and we do a very good job, if you ask me.
I agree too, man. I mean, that's, we're just a conduit of after doing some research to come together and talk about it. Like I said, we're traveling down the road from one show to the next, and sometimes it can get heated, sometimes it can get a lot of laughs, but again, guys at different levels of faith, Big Sal and I with none, and these two guys as believers, and just trying to look at everything from a wrestler's and worker's standpoint. But I totally agree.
To those out there, he said believers with a V, not believers with a B. Just clearing that up.
It's big. Yeah, well, he's part of the Illuminati cabal too. Sal, what's one or two of your favorites, man?
Right off the bat, CERN. I cannot wait for them to open the Demon Rift. And my man Tim, if I can
Tim Alvarino,
everybody on the Giants, man.
Yeah,
that touched me on levels no jokes. I'm not even gonna make a joke. There's
touch you like a Roman Catholic priest.
Oh my God, man! that whole show. If you were to go back and listen to that show, I think I said 4 words. Yeah. And I was ready to fucking blast him because I was like, really, man, really. I said like 4 words that whole show because everything he said made sense. Everything he said, well, it made sense of things that I never even considered.
Mm-hmm.
And if those 4 words were "I love you, man,"
yeah, it was an eye-opening show for me, and I never really thought about it. I've watched documentaries, YouTube, Discovery Channel about the Giants in America and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the stuff he was laying down was just beyond that. And then CERN, the mix of art and science is the way to go. You got that mix of, you want to believe in religion? Great. You want to believe in, but at the same time, you have science and art as well. And you bring them all together, you're covering every base. So you're not losing out on anything. So to me, I don't know, CERN's something I'm always interested in.
Yeah, I'd like to get Tim Alberino from Gen 6 Productions back on here because his shoot on CERN on YouTube is just as good as their work on the Giants.
I've watched it like 3 times.
Me too, because the way he can put something over and like no sell it, and it's just information. It's not a work. You can just tell that it's coming out of a place of extreme research. And like Sal said, you really need to go back and listen to our podcast where he was on about Giants being exposed and the work that they're doing at Gen 6 Productions. I think that's one of the highlights of the work we've done here. What do you got, Stevie? What's any? I'm sure probably some of those were your favorites too.
Yeah, the UFO disclosure, which, I thought it would be a lot more exciting, but it seems like we're already there.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's already been kind of like disclosed, no pun intended. I get scared but fascinated by Planet X and these objects that are coming into our solar system and the meteors that are it's terrifying in a way. But it's keeping me from moving to the beach since you told me Planet X is probably going to hit the water.
Well, I mean, you got a 1 in 4 chance if we're at 75% water, right?
Exactly. So, but the cigar-shaped aircraft or cigar-shaped, thing out there that seems to have propulsion like a UFO, the stuff that they shoot, with the video from the ISS and then they shut it off. Like multiple times, but you still catch a glimpse of something that's not supposed to be there. There's the famous clip of where this vehicle looks like it's moving like right in lower Earth orbit, and this thing shoots up like a missile or something, and it basically U-turns away from it. It's like, holy God, that's nuts. It's footage that I've seen on like just about every UFO documentary. The one thing that's kind of something that I love talking to people because it's so polarizing, I love talking to flat earthers. I love talking to people. But just to see what they think about that, and some of their stuff, it's based in NASA using, pictures that aren't really pictures. They're composite images. Not really using the money for, that they get every year, which right now it's $19 billion for what they say it is. There's a lot of secret stuff going on. It appears SpaceX is like the new NASA anyway, that they're doing all the space stuff out there. So what's NASA doing? So these things being connected, and once you talk about flat Earth, people go nuts and they get all mad and everything. I like talking to these people and hearing different viewpoints because years and years ago, when you brought up that 9/11 wasn't the story they gave us, how did people react? They reacted like, popping on handlers here.
Yeah,
You're being disrespectful to the United States of America by bringing that up.
Yeah.
That's how they act. No, that's how they acted.
Oh.
Like it was almost, they were upset. Like you offended
people.
them.
Died.
How dare you?
People died is the first thing they said.
They died. You offended. You're being offensive because you don't believe that everybody died for. No, I have no question that everybody died. My problem is who killed them.
Why are black people so lazy?
Now it's funny.
See now, tell me that joke was funny. I need validation on that.
Or
was
if you
that
said like Kramer, it would have been even better.
Yeah, but I can't go out of Hamin voice during the middle of the bit to do that. But I was just like, damn, this joke is gonna get a groan.
They got offended because you were disrespecting the United States government's official story.
Yeah.
And it's basically, if you're a Christian and then an alien shows up, all of your Christian shit is out the window.
Yeah. Well, they tried to cover that where the Pope says that we can convert them too. We don't know. So.
Right, but that's the whole thing. Like, you're what you're doing just by saying, hey, there's a different angle to look at this. You are shaking someone's core belief.
Yeah.
So their government that they, like, I was one of those people who you're like, oh man, you're a fucking prick. You know, the government. Why would the government lie to us?
Now you have 1,000 reasons.
Yeah,
now the question is, when is the government not lying to us?
Yeah, I mean, you think even if we want to go back to Stevie's first run during the Lincoln administration all the way till now, you know, like it really
it was Lincoln. I wouldn't put him over.
And a bear
out of
in
his finish.
The CWF, Civil War Wrestling Federation.
You know, like all the way through 2006 when that PTSD was still hitting, it's only been 10, 11 years. The breakneck speed of information and the conspiracy theorists that have become absolutely vilified and right on so many levels is just incredible in the last decade. I'm so proud of that, of being on the other side of the fence. And then, not that I want people to have to take a big spoonful and eat it, but they have to. Yeah, I do. I love it. So, you know, for me, definitely some of the ones you mentioned, Mandela Effect, I absolutely loved. I think that was a mind blower. I'm also a media professor at a college too, so that's an easy way for me to really peel back the heads of a lot of students who still have that K through 12 conditioning and show them what they thought was real absolutely isn't, that they don't even realize there was 8 presidents before George Washington, things like that. You know, I really like to mess with their heads like that. Definitely I'm the Planet X division champion. That's a doomsday scenario that I love to study, and I was glad to kind of be able to bring some of that to it. And it was super hot like 2 years ago to pretty close to October when it was supposed to happen, but we're only a few days away from a February 4th major asteroid pass by of 2.3 million miles away from our surface, of one that's visible and is about as big as the tallest building in Dubai, the world's tallest building. And if they think that there's not anything else happening around that's following that, all you need to do is go to Secure Team 10 and look at videos of what's happening over Michigan, what's happening over Russia, and like these big impacts or a lot of asteroids that are happening are stooging off Planet X. And they even say there's a 10th planet, but they won't call it Wormwood or Nibiru or what have you. And as that ties into Ancient Alien Theory, if you enjoy that show as well.
Well, you know, the thing about that is a little bit of current events. You know, that could be a theory of a meteor or something, and that missile alert system in Hawaii went off. You know, everybody thought that the one thing was they were trying to hide that North Korea really tried to fire it, but it could have been one of these you know, debris, meteorites, or whatever it was, near Hawaii.
There was people out on fishing boats earlier that morning, or on tour boats, and like, you know, 200 different people said they did see a bright object in the sky being exploded. Now, whether that was an incoming missile that was intercepted or an atmospheric meteorite explosion, highly probable or possible either way.
Which one of you guys sent? I think it was either you or Stevie who sent the picture of the thing taken off from the moon.
I think I did. So yeah, so that's the last two I wanted to touch on. You know,
let me just interject real quick, because I know once people hear flat Earth, and I say I talk to flat earthers, it's so polarizing. Even more so, I believe on the other side of it, like you guys do. I believe that there's a whole big universe out there. There's a lot going on. There's secret space programs. You know, Trump even talked about a space navy. I mean, it's crazy stuff going on. I believe, rather than everything being so local and internalized, it's much more vast than we could ever imagine, and more a part of it than everybody's leading on.
Well, we're blocked off from being a part of it for so many reasons. Whether it's
we're not on the VIP guest list.
No, we're definitely the marks in the crowd asking for an autograph. You know.
Also, just to quell any further.
Quell.
That's a word, brother. Look it up. Just to quell
It's
any
not the
further.
shampoo. That's Prel.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's not a word from antiquity.
It's not the big feather you're right with. That's a quill. But the government shutdown is over.
Oh.
So I want to touch on that. I just want to touch on it, pass it. But I want to touch on it just so we touched on it. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah. We catch some heat online from some super liberals who just want to try and bait and switch us. So it's nice to put a stamp on them once in a while. And hey, if you're a liberal, not to say that we're all like
he was a liberal. It's a crybaby.
No,
Here's what I would say: do not ever. I hate people. The people that just say I hate people in general.
Too, brother.
I hate them. That people suck,
brother. Brother, it's not a podcast; it's a radio show, brother. So, I just. Why do you have to be on a team? Why do you have to have a label? Why do you have to feel like you belong? Why can't you just be an individual? And people that are like-minded or not like-minded can have a conversation, whether they agree or disagree. That's the easiest thing. Don't do this. They accuse conspiracy theorists all the time of confirmation.
You're a right. You're a left. You're this.
No, but they accuse people in what we try to research is a confirmation bias. But they're the biggest purveyors of confirmation bias because they're like, let me turn the TV on. And let's see what I have to believe and then argue the point of someone else to there. And I have no idea if it's true or not.
That's just a small time. They want a gotcha moment so they can go on. And then even when they're proven wrong time and time again because they're spreading disinformation, they'll never, again, take that spoonful and swallow it. So
yeah, they need the only reason they watch TV is to go in and have ammunition to fire back at someone who pisses them off at work or at the gym or wherever else you're hanging out. And that's why you can't be an individual because it's human nature. You need to be part of a tribe. Everybody needs to be part of the tribe. And
they're always looking for that one last fight,
and whether it's his tribe, your tribe, anything, everybody, religion, politics, TV shows, it doesn't matter. People have to get behind something and they want to be part of something. And then you got the other people who are like, well, I want to be the separate guy and go, I didn't like it. And great, terrific. You're still part of a tribe because now you're part of the douchebag tribe who hates everything and has to,
Absolutely.
So.
And
this would be a perfect time to give our PayPal's out.
So the one thing that I do as a small human, I mean, we're talking Planet X, we're talking Mandela Effects and CERN and Giants. Those are just huge things, and especially before I actually stooge us off, I was watching L.A. What's his name? Mazzarelli.
Yeah, what's going on?
I can't remember what his name was. He's the dude who's doing
Lee Mazzilli. He played for the Mets and the Yankees.
Leo Mazzarelli.
No, L.A. Marzulli. Screw you guys. It's the elongated skulls.
No wonder you bombed.
Yeah. When I bomb in here, we all bomb in here, infidels. L.A. Marzulli with the elongated skulls from South America, actually having them DNA tested to possibly be Nephilim or some type of alien skull. That's something I definitely want to keep an eye on too. I was going to send that to you. Yeah. Now you guys are kissing my ass.
We'll call him Stacks. He can fall asleep in the getaway car. Don't worry about it.
And then he'll beat Stevie at Wildcat. And then got my heat back. But speaking of getting my heat back, the one that I really like to say F you to everybody in the last year is Pedogate, Pizzagate. And I can't wait for more of them to fall. I would love to offer my services as being the switch guy for the hangman. I'd be happy to hang all those people all day long. I won't bat an eyelash. I'll be pumped about it. Sign autographs afterwards for the kids, no problem. It's just something that needs to happen. And as we move through QAnon and now this new memo that's coming out, 99 pages. I got 99 pages, and Hillary Clinton is on every one probably. And thank you,
dude. That's a T-shirt. That's a good idea. 99 pages, and Hillary's on all of them or whatever.
Yeah. So, It's interesting to see them expose slowly and surely this cabal, this secret society, as we talked briefly earlier, and, where they try and spin it. And when she says things like, if Trump's in office, we're all going to have a noose around our neck. Well, guess what? It's time for that. And a lot of us were on this train a lot earlier than the mainstream media or the Nancy Browns at home that are finally having to see it. And we were ridiculed for it. And whether it's the Podesta clan, whether it's the Spirit Cooking crew, whether it's the Lady Gaga, fake Illuminati stuff that they want to do with that to indoctrinate people at a Super Bowl, which I don't know who's playing the Super Bowl this year at halftime. I'm interested to see that.
Justin Timberlake.
Is it really?
He's back, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll look for a lot of black and white Masonic symbolism in that then. So... that's really the one I like is the aha moment, because those are the people who really do need to be burned at the stake in a modern day witch hunt, and that's the only way you're going to really change this society, is to expose them, and then unfortunately do the fall of Rome, where they have to get fed to the lions for entertainment.
Yeah, don't call it a witch hunt, because the witch hunt was bullshit. You actually get these people
right.
and serve justice, man.
Right. It is time for that, martial justice to be let loose on them, because they can't fail upwards anymore. They can't slide under, and they can't just get away based on their money and political connections. It's time for them to go down. But Planet X, obviously a lot bigger than that in the scope of who we are in the universe. That's definitely my other favorite. So,
outstanding.
Anybody else got anything to add before we move on to the next segment here?
No, I'm good. Papa Don, how about you, buddy?
What's that?
Oh, he's back? Okay.
All right. I had to run to go take a situation in hand. Yeah, basically.
Okay,
right
fair enough.
I was trying to make a pun, but forget it.
You'll get some in later, I'm sure. I'm going to switch over to Conspiracy Horseman mailbag right now, and you guys can hit us up at conspiracyhorseman@gmail.com with any links, questions, or stories that we might have missed, or put overs, or just to let us know how much you love our ProWrestlingTees.com merchandise.
/Stevie Richards.
/Ben Hamin.
/Papa Don.
So here we
go. Another idea for a T-shirt before you continue.
Go ahead.
And you could design this. Everyone loves Sal.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. I might as well.
And then we put a picture of Sal.
Yeah.
And everyone loves Sal, and we sell it. Boom.
It would never sell.
That's not true, bro. Everyone I know who loves you
wouldn't sell a lick.
Yeah, I've never heard one person say. And for those who don't know, why Sal loved that Tim Alberino Giants one that much is because Sal is a legit giant, and he's just looking for his bloodline, and he wants to.
Scares me.
He's trying to find out his lineage. So, all right. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, I'm not going to get into it. We don't have the time tonight. We don't have the time.
Pop's got to go. Yeah, we only got about 45 minutes left here. So here we go. This one's is from Hans from Testify 40 Dudley. Yeah.
Yeah, Hans Gruber.
Hans. Yeah, it says, greetings, horsemen. First of all, big fucking thank you for this podcast. I thought I'd been woken and I had barely had my eyes open. So second, no apologies for the length of this email. No apologies on the caps. So y'all, I've been binge listening to all the Conspiracy Horsemen episodes, so I have a shit ton to touch on. Big Salbowski, we never heard a recap of you and Ireland trip hunting for fairies and giants. So,
okay.
All right. So we'll let that sit for a minute. You guys are hilarious, entertaining, and most informative. GGP is so informed and intelligent. However, at first it was hard to take him serious. Because you sound like Nick Turturro from NYPD Blue.
Who? Like who?
Nick Turturro.
In WrestleMania,
Yes.
All right. Whatever.
What's up with your restaurant buzzer every show? I thought the Greek restaurant you eat at was old country. They don't have that kind of shit. And don't say the Greeks invented those buzzers. GGP stooged you guys off as predictive programming. One episode, GGP kept dropping A to Z, Alpha and Omega. 6 months later, Jericho and Omega. I think CIA actually got to him and gave him multiple zeros check. So, calling you out.
Right here.
Yeah, no, it was just nothing but
sell
zeros.
out in a second, dude.
This guy's got it on lock. This email's good. Flat Earth shit. Very compelling. 4 theories: flat, square, round, and chubby like a pear. Honestly, nobody knows for sure. What I know is the ground I stand on is flat. The roads I drive on, flat. I believe there's an easy experiment to prove it. Sail towards Antarctica from 4 different sides, and if it's flat, why is Antarctica the only key? Should there be other spots that block you from leaving? There should be walls on the 4 sides according to math and science. I believe round. Your thoughts? Bin Hamin is my new favorite wrestler. I have not seen wrestle. Well, don't watch me wrestle because it's just going to let you down. Your gimmick and podcasts are awesome. I heard the episode when you were burying Uncle Vinny during his protection order with Corny. I would like to know your view on him has changed now that you've joined the brand and gotten to know him on a personal level. I know you won't bullshit because after listening to your show, you are real as fuck. Y'all, brother. I left Big Stevie Cool last because he's a main event talent. I absolutely love BWO and Right to Censor.
Wow.
Those
now we know this guy's full of shit.
Signed Hans Mana.
Those groups.
Is this Meanie and Bucci who wrote this email?
He says, those groups were amazing. I dressed as you in Right to Censor one Halloween. Naturally, no one outside my crew knew who I was. Nobody knew who Stevie was either when he did it. I enjoyed you in ECW and WWF. Dr. Stevie, I vaguely remember due to massive amounts of adult beverages. Keep getting your free shit and keep getting GGP from benefiting. Keep up the hard work and entertaining shows. Yeah, motherfucking Allah. So... Hans, you killed it right there, bro.
Over, he's under, dude.
Yeah, and shout out to Podcast One for all the bleeps on that email. But
yeah. Hans is good, man.
So let's go back.
I can't wait to see what their workflow is on this.
They're gonna be like, caught him. It was too much, guys.
Yeah,
that's why we get it to them quickly because they have 3 days to bleep everything.
Yeah, Big Sal, Fairies and Giants. What do you think, bud?
Fairies and Giants. We didn't see any giants, no mounds. The fairies, I actually spoke to a bunch of people, and they were very solemn about it. It was a very like solemn thing. They were talking about the fairy mounds, fairy fortresses, what they called them. And a friend of my wife's, a coworker, his father is in his golden years, and he's passing on. So the guy was spending time with him. And his father said to him on a shoot, he was like, you just stay away from those places. And he was like, well, what do you mean, why? And he goes, just, you have no reason to go over there. Just leave those places alone. And he was very, keep away from them. So when he pushed him a little further on it, and he said, so tell me, why? What's going on? And he said, well, to start off, back in the day, and this is the 20th century. This is not... centuries ago when people didn't know better or anything else. This is modern times when the children were dying of consumption, when the children were dying of starvation. They put them in these mounds. They buried them in mass in these mounds, and the fairies were meant to take the children and bring them to the other side, and they were there to protect them. So these mounds not only have fairies protecting them, which they believe in, but they are the mass graves of children. So, like, kind of one of those, oh, look, fairies. Oh, what? Graves, mass graves of children. So it was a real stark kind of, you think fairies and you think about all the English folklore and, oh, they're having tea and they show the fairies, they flittering from flower to flower, and it was kind of a dark thing, and they believe in it. It's a thing over there, and it's borderline religious, with you just don't fuck with it. Just don't mess with it.
Where there's less proof for that, and it might seem, I'm not saying it's not legit, because we need to do more research for sure, and harder to find if we're looking for something micro in scope that way. More of a PTSD, how to deal with a tragic situation and make it feel a little bit, okay, we can digest it because of that. On the other hand of that, the Tim Alberino Giant stuff and the island, or even if we're talking the mounds in Ohio or new ones found in Nevada, plenty of
Massachusetts too.
And New York, plenty of real giant axe heads, things that were taken to the Smithsonian, and skulls that have been locked away, whether it's Vatican or in Italy, and the Smithsonian Institute are smashed, as we were told that by old timers who actually found these, digging them up in the Gen 6 Giants documentary, so a lot more proof, physical proof, where the Bible becomes literature at that point, to put over the real existence of giants. And then even some military stories of the giant of Afghanistan, which is, very recent, very interesting of what's going on, and that I'm sure if there was a giant in Afghanistan and he was whisked away, that they've already got a clone army of Nephilim being brought out, and again with that L.A. Missouli thing, that is about the Nephilim as well, so should be interesting.
What do you say about the soldiers who went in and the one guy got gored?
Yeah.
By the spear.
Yeah.
He just got speared.
Rhino came out of nowhere and took him out.
Yeah. Trust me, that's just the stuff. But then they just, they hosed him down with, enough firepower to just tear apart a battleship.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's, I didn't want to get into the whole thing, but like the fact is now I'm 6'9", and there are people who are taller than me, and I see them. Actually, it's kind of weird. I've seen a lot of people who are, my height and above lately, just walking around here and there. But to think about something that's 15 feet tall, and just, to me, it's a frightening prospect.
Yeah.
And, just if you're driving somewhere and you see one of those little, like one of those tunnels, and it says it's an 8-foot tunnel.
Yeah.
Just get out and look at it. Just get out of your car and stand there. Just look at the 8 foot, and just think about 8 foot tall of something. Yeah. That's 8 foot tall, and let that sink in for a little bit.
Double it down, yeah.
That's what happened with Tim. When Tim Alberino was talking with us and discussing that, it was a really frightening thing for me, and it's something that intrigues the shit out of me from this point on.
And 12 to 15 is kind of an average, where there's supposedly up to 30 to 50 foot. Like it's just unbelievable.
Those are Titans, man. It's huge.
So definitely,
you think they have their own division, 705 Live or something like that.
1205 Live.
Fighting a 16-sided ring. Definitely go back and listen to that Giants episode, Conspiracy Horsemen, hackeramine.podbean.com. Great stuff. I think we covered Flat Earth. One thing we kind of left out is our disdain for science disinformation artists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who has put over that the Earth is more pear-shaped, and then he isn't called out on the NASA photos of the Earth being completely spherical, and in this flat Earth argument, which actually gives flat Earthers credibility. I don't think any of us here are flat Earthers, but shout out to Josh Corey at Iron Realm Media, my brother on the Infinite Fringe podcast as well, who are flat Earthers. And this goes into the Antarctica podcast we did with a possible firmament. A lot of cool stuff to talk about that way. That's another conspiracy theory I really like, is the Antarctica one, especially with the pyramids and everything going on. So definitely want to revisit that.
That is it's the only treaty in the history of this planet that has been adhered to.
Yeah.
That has not been broken.
And somebody just put a Google waypoint on that pyramid, and it's called the Pyramid of Life or something like that.
No, they called it like a nightclub. Somebody did like a rib on that.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, you can edit it like
okay,
like a wiki page or whatever it's.
Gotcha.
They were calling it the Pyramid of Life, and then somebody put it down as some hotspot like nightclub name.
Yeah, well, you never know. The reptilians might be partying there all the time.
Well, then if you look back when Lovecraft wrote, Call of Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft, read a book.
Not me for the fans, dude.
All right,
Jesus
fair enough.
Christ.
Anyway, there was an Antarctic expedition which uncovered aliens that were there for centuries. So, that's been going on since the 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm sure long before that.
The Admiral Byrd expedition, where they were attacked, supposedly by Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl come out and whipped everybody's ass.
Weren't you hey, Stevie, weren't you doing 60-minute Broadways with Gorgeous George in the 40s?
Yeah, another promotion you weren't booked for.
I wasn't alive. It's okay.
He was booked. He just took another booking someplace else. Couldn't show up.
Yeah. Exactly. He was sending Facebook messages before Facebook message was even around. Quick thing, Graham Hitchcock is another thing for anybody that hasn't, or people that might be into conspiracy theories may not know about him. He covers that topic we just talked about ancient civilizations, about a lot of stuff going on with the pyramids, when they were built, who built them. I think he touches on Antarctica. It's called Fingerprints of the Gods.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff. I think Mars is involved in that too, right? Am I wrong about that, Ben?
No, it is. It definitely talks about the obelisks and that kind of stuff that represent, and even the Sphinx face that is there and compared to the one here.
Can I just say something really quick? This guy, Graham Hancock, it's outstanding what he does, you know. The only thing is, though, you have to go in wanting to learn, because his voice isn't the most entertaining voice out there. So if it's like a 3-hour documentary, good chances are you might get tired after 20 minutes listening to a monotone guy speaking about what's going on. So just sit there, like these guys have to sit through WWE programming and not enjoy it, but sit there and just give it an opportunity, because you're going to be outstanding with the facts that this guy presents to everybody.
You should voice it over as Nick Turturro. It'd be awesome.
Oh, sure, whatever.
Hey, at least we watched the show. You're never getting a job for not watching the show. You're doing all
I
these
do
other
watch the
things.
show.
You gotta know.
Monday,
You gotta
You
know
didn't
where you
watch
can
it last
fit
night,
in.
you liar.
I watched Raw, dude. I didn't watch SmackDown.
He was at the Manhattan Center, wanted a refund. All right, so
I wrestled at the Manhattan Center, Papa Don.
Good for you.
So here's the second email from Graham Boston, and this is entitled "Jimmy Snuka, Serial Killer." Hello, Horseman.
Oh, shit.
Hello, Horseman. I'm a new listener to the show, having followed Stevie and Ben Hamin over from Russo Brand. Ya Allah. Well, we're here on Russo Brand now, all four of us. You guys are really dropping some great knowledge, and being a huge conspiracy theorist and a lapsed wrestling fan, this show is perfect. My question: I was listening to Celebrity Deaths episode and got thinking about Jimmy Snuka and a rumor I heard from Mr. St. Laurent about Snuka. He claims to have been told whilst training that Nancy Argento was not the only one and there were other girls. What do you think of this? Jimmy Snuka traveling across the U.S., killing rats and prostitutes under the cover of a WWE superstar? Thanks. So,
Tremendous.
A quick, short shot email right there. And again, thanks, Graham Boston and everybody else following us over from Russo Brand. So we brought Horseman 2 you guys to the front doorstep. We're kicking it in. No one can keep us out. But, I know a couple of you guys. I never worked a show with him. Maybe all three of you guys have.
I did a lot. My first
I know you did a
year
lot.
was
Yeah.
pretty much with him.
How many rats did you guys kill together?
I'm going to say it was the Metal Maniac. I don't think it was Snook at all.
Brother.
Yeah.
I just did a show with
like-
him.
So it's a little bit of predictive programming where he says that Chubby Dubby, I've seen better heads on lettuce, meaning he's
Right.
decapitating these women.
He's cut them off and he's yelled
That's
at
it.
them. Yes. I don't know about that. It's a great story. It's an amazing story, and I would but I personally didn't get to see him kill or help him kill anybody. So, and like I spent my first year in the business traveling, doing like that summer, we did like the upper Northeast carnival circuit
Yeah.
with Johnny Rods and all of us, and SD and Cousin Luke.
Did he give you the
And,
story about the Switchblade, the original Switchblade? Johnny
No.
Rods, did he tell you the story about the original Switchblade?
That he carries a screwdriver in his waistband?
No, not wrestling wise. Anyway, we'll talk
No,
about
not
the
wrestling wise, just like for real. He carries it just even in a suit because that's what Puerto Ricans do. He said.
His words, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, what was the original Switchblade? You can't just drop it and leave.
I went there one time to hang out, and he pulled me in the office, and he tells me this story, and he takes out this Switchblade, and he goes, "This is Poppy. This is the original Switchblade, Poppy." So he's telling me the story, so I leave. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna say? You're a liar? No, of course not. So then later on, other people who trained at the school pulled me aside when they heard I was there. They're like, "Hey, did he tell you the Switchblade story?" And I popped. I said, "Yeah, of course he did." He goes, "He tells everybody that story." I said, "Okay, sure." I thought maybe he told you.
That's like it was the first Switchblade ever.
Like, yeah, the first one ever created. That's
Really?
probably the first one he ever
Like the
murdered
prototype.
someone with.
Oh wow, strong. Well, yeah, no, thanks, Grand Boston, for that one.
I don't. Yeah, that's a great story though. That would actually make an amazing movie.
Yeah, it would. The wrestler going across, and they finally catch up to him. All right, so I'm gonna try this. Bring up my messenger and see if it doesn't mess with Skype.
Hold on a second. That big email, and that's all we got?
Yeah,
Just
there's
to find
only
out
two
about
in there.
Fridays?
Well, I got this voice clip from one of our faithful followers, and I've been down in Chicago a lot. I spent a lot of time there, and see a lot of people who I've respected kind of really losing it in a PTSD Trump world. But Bill Savely, I call him Save Digger, is a performer who I absolutely have immense amount of respect for. Hilarious guy, and he's a huge supporter of the Horsemen. And he sent me some voicemails on chat yesterday because he kind of got away from conspiracy, and now he's looking at the world again how he used to, and it's really because of the show here. So I got two voice clips from him. I'll play these, and then we can talk about it.
Hey, man, I just heard this story on the radio about that lady from Winnetka or Wilmette, 62-year-old lady that got past TSA security somehow, and without a passport or a ticket, somehow made it onto a flight to London. Now, of course, they caught her before the plane took off, and she's in custody. And I guess this woman's been doing this a couple of times now. And I think to myself, sounds like a friggin' plant to me. Like, if you wanted to clamp down on making more restrictions for people to travel, how would you do it? Would you say you're just going to do it so that people go, this is bullshit, you're taking away more of our rights? Or would you let somebody get onto the plane in a controlled situation to where then the people will scream for you to do more restrictions? Make sense, man? Like, you need a solution. But in order to get to that solution, you need to create a problem. So you create the problem of this woman getting onto a flight somehow without any ID and security, and then everybody points the finger at TSA and says, you guys gotta do something, when normally they're like, we're tired of being checked, the lines are long enough as it is. But now, now, yes, please take more of our time and more of our rights away under the guise of safety. Thanks to your show, man, and my rededication to all things real, I'm starting to look at things a whole lot differently.
Yeah, so that's the Save Digger, Bill Savely from Chicago, great friend of mine, really into fitness too, man, and appreciate you and miss you, Save Digger, and thanks for those comments. Go ahead, guys.
My man nailed it. That's how they pretty much get everything they want from us under the guise of safety.
Yeah.
So he nailed it.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head. Got to build your baby face off your heel. Problem, solution.
Yeah,
That's it.
problem, reaction, solution, right?
All a TSA is the illusion of security, the theater. It's security theater. That's all it is.
Yeah, some of those ladies working there make Nia Jax look like a 205er. Like there's no way that they're doing anything except being a human shield stopping them.
Be careful, man. Be careful. Better be careful.
What is really going on that this lady can get through with no ticket and no passport? And this isn't the first time she's like a serial stowaway, they called her. You know what I mean? And she's like the what the vision is of a shoe bomber or an underwear bomber, right? Like the brown guy who's from some foreign country, Yemen or whatever. This is from Wilmette, little white-haired white lady getting through doing all this kind of stuff, man. What do you think?
Going to Ireland, our one story of at Newark Airport, there was a woman in front of us who looked like a Latina Estelle Getty, and she couldn't. They're telling her to walk through the gimmick, the beep, and she kept touching the sides because she couldn't stabilize herself. And then Monique from Soul Plane is yelling at her to walk through and not touch the sides of the metal detector.
Like operation.
And she keeps touching the sides. And she's yelling at Monique in Spanish, and Monique is yelling at Hispanic Estelle Getty, And then she just went, just come through. And the woman just walked through, and I went, what? What happened? How did that? What? Because she didn't look like a shoe bomber. She didn't look like she had C4 strapped to her. She didn't look like she had, you know, a grenade shoved up her gooch. But they let her through because Monique couldn't have been bothered to keep this line up anymore. And there was a big line, and people were getting upset.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, that's how she got through. And that's how and that's, again, Cosby math, one. That's one that got through.
The hell was that?
Hell was that?
That was an ad playing.
That was the Al Qaeda workout intro.
Yeah, I just want to see. I want to see if I can email the manufacturer of the Taliban monkey bars to see if I can get a free set of them.
I'm telling you, there's going to be a SWAT guy blowing through that back window of his any minute now.
You know what? That sounds a lot dirtier than you meant it, my friend.
Yeah. No, I think, Sal, you're spot on with that. Now, for this old lady to be the one, does that mean increased security, you know, for everybody, and just to show that, hey, nobody's safe, even, you know, white bread grandma? But to take it to the bigger conspiracy of that we've talked about 2 or 3 times, and even more information still coming out today, I saw about Las Vegas and the people involved in that. You know, is it just to have full body scanners at every turn into a hotel, and as far as you check in, and the people who were invested originally in doing that with the TSA, who made millions of dollars after he got out of what was it, CIA or FBI head? I can't remember the guy's name. What up, Shemp? Yeah,
the SWAT team's here.
That's it.
And you know,
they're invading the compound.
My Asian wife showed up.
She's a ninja, so she'll take him out. But you know, that's what we don't see any Vegas footage at all. This guy's supposedly bringing guns in now. Maybe he's a gun runner. Fast and Furious, CIA. There's the whole component of the Saudis that were there, and is this part of the Saudi in-house civil war? And you know, that slowly these things are being stooged out, and that the people who the sheriff is now the head of security at the Wynn and failed upwards, and you know, the regular security guard is now the head of counterterrorism at the MGM, failing upwards.
Well, let's back up a second with that. In a world of the 24-hour news cycle, or like Papadon said, the 12-hour one, where they need content, they need media, they need photos, they need video, and they need to really concentrate on those and make an entire hour, day, week, month. You mean to tell me, and we had John Hartnett on from American Top Team, and you can go listen to that episode. He talked about everywhere you go, there's a camera. Mm-hmm. There has to be. It's a casino. But everywhere you go in that hotel, there's at least 3 cameras on you. You mean to tell me they did not have one camera on him where he was taking it through in the luggage cart with or whatever?
Right.
You know, you don't have that timestamp. You don't even have him checking into the hotel. You don't even know what day he checked in, by the way. They got the days wrong.
Changed from the 28th to the 26th, and then to the 25th.
25th,
but even if you look at those 3 dates, you couldn't say he checked in exactly at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. or whatever, and here's a picture of him checking in. They couldn't even give you that.
Yep.
Isn't that nuts? It's like he almost wasn't alive for that entire time, and the body was just dumped.
TMZ will find Britney Spears wiping her ass at a Jamba Juice. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody saw this guy park his car. Nobody saw anything of this guy at a street light, at a red light, at a corner. There's cameras every 5 feet in Vegas, and not one of them.
Hold on a second. Now you're just talking silly talk, because let's face it. You're telling me that
Britney Spears doesn't go to Jamba Juice.
No, Vegas has all the cameras in the world, just like the Pentagon, right? No footage over there of a plane going into the Pentagon. Yeah. No footage of this guy bringing the guns into the room. That's just preposterous. I mean, like in the words of Raven, but we have a guy in a dialysis machine in a cave somewhere that we can't find for years, but a CNN reporter finds him just like that for an interview. That's real, because it was told to us that they could find it that way. You see what I'm saying?
I smell reverse psychology.
I do. He did. He switched it up on us.
That was the Jedi mindset. There you go.
No, because everybody out there is going, yeah, that's exactly. You're right. That's exactly it.
No, but shout out to Savely in pointing that out. And here it is again. Whether it's a TSA thing, and now it's to install TSA everywhere. In every major hotel, every concert. You won't be able to go to a concert. Like, it's already pretty tight enough, but we're talking going from being wanded and going through and being patted down, your bags checked, to now full body scanners, more radiation, just so these war profiteers can sell their million and billion dollar technology to everyone. And the people at the MGM are also invested in that as well. So,
that's the greatest point right there, that everybody expects it to be a Mr. Burns type character, or a bunch of people in hoods in a dark room around a table with a pentagram on it. But it might just be a stockholders meeting. It might just be, how can we profit this quarter? It's follow the money, like Papa Don said. It's not the evil, Dr. Evil deal, or, James Bond villain. It might just be a bunch of suits saying, how can we make an extra $50 million this quarter? How can we give our dividends back to the stockholders and make them happy? Oh, we're a security company, so we already got it in every airport that we can have it in. What's next?
Yeah, they sold it to them. They got to keep selling. They're not just going to retire. Greed is exponential, and it never slows down. It's always about more.
Which, by the way, go to my Amazon wish list.
So there is absolutely no chance of, any terrorists or anybody getting into, like, say, Ariana Grande's other concert and get another shot at her.
Well, I mean, they botched that one.
To be honest with you, now it's confirmed there was more than one shooter.
Yeah, now they're putting it out, more than one shooter, but they won't say who, right? And also, they found kiddie porn on Stephen Paddock's computer, like putting that kind of shit out too. After they bury his brother for the same thing, just to further demoralize and be like, see, I knew this psycho. Like, another reason, just misdirection spot to get away from the truth of what he really was as a Fast and Furious gun runner, that this is part of the Saudi plot. But I just saw before we hopped on that ISIS, CIA construct as well, put out another threat that they want to hit Vegas again. So ISIS was claiming responsibility for it, that this is part of what they were doing. So
that's because the first time when they got involved, they didn't get credit. Now they get it.
Yeah, they're hot about it, right?
No, it was us. It was us.
I wonder how many people right now are almost at that point, like that scene in Scanners right now. We've really condensed many episodes into the past hour and a half.
And also, ISIS, if you are listening to this show, Chris Angel lives at the Luxor.
Hey, he's Greek. Leave him alone.
ISIS, if you are listening to this, you owe me about $575 million for back dues, so pay up. It definitely is all slow leak, and I just wish that they would. I think there's a chance to do 9/11 level expose on the people behind all that on this one, based on how quickly they were caught with their pants down and caught in so many lies. And, from the muffle sparks of the helicopter shots that came out to now second shooters, to girlfriend deleting her Facebook and loading the magazines herself. And just, again, being able to show how many lies they were caught in. It's going to get
just
to
the
him.
fact that he had his Asian girlfriend just kind of.
Yeah.
Come on, Stevie, you all right?
I'm here. Hey,
right.
my wife is from Ocala, Florida. She's not Asian. Hey, by the way,
running jokes.
Ocala, Florida? What's that?
Well, sorry.
Osaka, Florida.
Here's a quick point too, that they didn't even have her located in the right country. They had to switch that around. No, my wife has always lived in America.
Oh, okay. Dude, his wife's in the basement now in the sweatshop. Who do you think's making all those bands?
Okay, I think we better be careful. Be very careful.
Yeah, we're on podcast 1.
We didn't curse.
No, just getting all of the racial stuff.
Oh, okay. Everything's okay then. Everything else is fine.
Yeah, man. So the other part I wanted to get to as we start to bring it home here is, supposedly this 99-page memo that even got stooged through InfoWars, through inside sources, that was the big blow up this week. And when Trump said, I think they're spying on me, and everyone's like, there's no proof of that, and they roll every late night comedian saying that they said that, and this is when Obama was in office, and now it's completely outlined that really our FBI, NSA is in a secret cabal, secret society meetings where they had a meeting where everyone had to ditch their cell phones, and they're using burner cell phones now after the BlackBerry smash scandal. That they wanted to put a hit on Trump, that they were really phone tapping him, and, they want to make light of that. Again, these liberal idiot comedians that just toe the line and are part of the CNN fake news organization. Will they turn around and eat a pile of shit off this? Absolutely not. They'll just keep pushing more false narratives and false agenda, but it's about to drop in their laps. And then there was also an infographic about how, this secret cabal wanted to destroy America within about 16 years. And we're talking pretty much 9/11 until this year. And they were probably 70% through of most of their plans, whether it was firing the generals that would have stood up against all of that, and Obama cleaned house with them, and a lot of people moving money to and weapons to North Korea and Iran. Obviously we have that with the Uranium One scandal at this point, and really open borders and flooding with immigrants that might have been some bad hombres, and now we even have the stooge off that what's her name, who hired MS-13 to kill Seth Rich.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Thank you, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and that being stooge off. So again, the only true thing Hillary Clinton ever said is if this guy gets in office, they're going to have nooses around our neck. And right now, we're looping them around. It's about time to tighten them down and pick a nice tree.
Well,
say I like
the
that
old
one.
promo said the old promo when Arn Anderson cuts. I don't want to be the one that told you so, but I told you so.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's every point that comes out to crucify the president of the United States ends up being fictitious. Plain and simply put, from what he says to where he drinks his water to what. It's ridiculous.
If he weighs 239 pounds, though, I'm fighting 205 live. I'll tell you that much.
Listen, man, I agree with you 100%.
But here's the thing: it's people. There's so much hate for him. He is such the heel in everyone's eyes that they can't even look at logic. Like it again. It was said that if he came up with a cure for cancer, they'd be like, well, why didn't he give it to us last year?
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't have anything. You can't. Like they have to double down.
But I did sell 2 heels over strong Trump Hamin shirts this week, so that was pretty good.
Again, but that's the thing. Everybody gets separated into the tribes. You're right. You're left.
But that's what they want.
If you don't like Trump, you're automatically a leftist. And you're an idiot and everything else, and you're totally against them, even though you guys were doing the same thing 4 years ago with Obama. And the right side is, it wasn't as bad. We accepted Obama as president. It happens, and it's just another way to separate everybody and keep everybody from unifying.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the House divided can't stand, my man. That's what they want.
Right, my man. If everybody unified, they're all fucked, because that's the uprising they can't hold back.
Because we have the power, we have the numbers, and the law's in our favor. Actually, the laws were written for us, not the other way around.
Regardless of if you want to look at that and say, okay, well, we can never get over on the government because they'll just change it. They'll change the rules for the game.
That was part of that infographic, was the destruction of the Constitution. That was going to be in the next 2 years and come in with gun grab, which they're doing a soft version of that now in Hawaii and Pennsylvania with legalized weed as the way in. And if you want legal weed, then you're going to give up your guns as well. However, now there's plenty of CNC machine plans out there for ghost guns where you can make 45 9mm that are 2 spec and will fire thousands of rounds with no problem whatsoever, and you can build them in your garage. So
not for nothing,
they're never going to make it.
3D printers, man.
Yeah,
I'm not a big weed guy. I don't smoke weed. I don't do drugs. But I know people who do it. When they get high on weed, the last thing they want to do is work. All they want to do is sit down and munch and eat, watch movies, or whatever the case may be, listen to music. No one who gets high on weed is going to go shoot up anywhere. Come on.
That's my thought on. Again, I've never touched it in my life. I've never even tried it. I think they should legalize it. Let people monetize it. Get money from it. Do what you're going to do, man.
Record Colorado profits this year. Yeah.
Because here's the deal.
Go ahead.
Like prescription drugs, you get them from your doctor. Yet, what is our biggest epidemic in the country? It's opioids.
Yeah.
You know, they're talking about. You know, so, to me, it's like legalizing weed is not going to make everybody. You know who's going to go to legal weed shops? The fucking guys who are going to college kids who don't want to go to the bad neighborhoods to go buy their weed from that guy on the corner anymore. I don't want to have to sneak around and go to my guy. Wow. They don't want to sneak around and go to their guy. So now that them and their dad can go to the weed store and pick up weed legally.
Sure.
It's not going to change anything. You know what it'll do? It'll decriminalize it to an extent, because the middle class weed smokers will now go to the legal weed store to pick it up.
Yeah, and that'll open up the whole wine crowd of Nancy Browns and all them to do it. In 10 years, it'll just be a normalcy like it never happened. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be that 5 years of, oh my God, bro, with the Cheech and Chong level stoners where they can go and get it. But once it becomes normal, but this is just the Trojan horse again of, if you want that, here's a registry, semi-Nazi style. And you have guns, then you can't have that. You don't tell me I can have if or and, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll tell you. Yeah, don't tell me this or that. Yeah, right? Some black sheep. And I'll tell you what I can have, and you don't tell me nothing. Because I pay your paycheck. So
you don't tell me anything. That's a double
you don't
negative.
tell me nothing.
Oh, here we go.
Listen, there's one reason, and one reason only, why weed won't be legal in this country tomorrow, maybe 5 years from now, who knows. That's because all the pharmaceutical companies would lose their shirts, and they're all the donors to the politicians, and they're all in arms together, and they're in bed together. And you know what? These medicines, you see the commercials, product X will cure Y, but give you A, B, 3, 4, 5, 6, X, Y, Z. And then you need another pill for those symptoms. So it's like going to a mechanic to go fix your car, get your brakes done, but he breaks something else to make sure you come back for repeat business. And that's exactly what the work is with the big pharma. So if we get legal weed, and weed is a much better medicine than the majority of the stuff that these big pharma things are selling, they're going to go belly up.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's
especially with cancer treatments, and now CBD oil being exposed as a major treatment along those ways to reverse the effects of that. So until it is Merck, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and we got plenty of rope to hang them too. I got no problem with all those lobbyists. That was one of the things I did pop for when, everyone was ribbing those first days when Trump's signing everything and holding up the folders, and he banned lobbyists from DC for 5 years, and they're all standing behind him doing the Russo clap. And he's like, I don't know why you're clapping. I just took away your jobs. But all they really did was send those guys into more, dark room meetings to do payoffs that way. But if they're going to do it that way, that means now the people accepting them have a chance to be caught and be exposed as well. So I think that was a brilliant move, and love to see Big Pharma fall, especially with this heroin opioid epidemic. I agree. Stevie, what do you got, man?
Depression? No. I would say.
It was Raw 25th.
Well, the thing is that I think that's a lot of what we're talking about too, that we kid about Raw, we kid about TV, we kid about media, but people are so, watch The Matrix again, watch all three of those movies and see how people are kind of, what's that?
Nothing, go ahead.
No, I want you to, your reaction is interesting.
First one was good.
Well,
but there's a lot of predictive programming. The other two.
The theme of that is people that don't want to be unplugged. They like whatever that guy's name is from The Sopranos, when he literally told the guy, "I want to be plugged back in and make me rich."
Joey Pantoliano.
Joey
Pants, baby.
But he doesn't want to remember anything about reality. He just wants to get plugged back in.
Yeah.
live the construct of the Matrix that they're presenting a reality to them. And there's people. It's crazy. I always put it up on Twitter once in a while that I say, with each passing day, Alex Jones and David Icke seem less crazy because those guys, they were marginalized for decades, and now it's like, hey, not 100% yet, but more than 0% of what they were talking about has turned out to be true.
Yeah, Cosby math once again, reigning supreme. So I am stunned. It is depressing. We know we've hit you guys with a boatload of information and kind of recapping of who we are and what we do, and this is how we speak. And it is TV mature language, so put the babies to bed, or maybe not listen with them in the car if you're streaming us that way, or maybe this is exactly what your 8th grader needs to hear.
I'm just imagining like that Subaru commercial where the dad's got like his 6 girls in the back from soccer practice and he's listening to the Horsemen.
It's like the 3rd hour Raw, but people are actually listening and watching. So it's really cool. Right, Papadon?
Yeah.
Right,
Absolutely.
Papadon?
That's right. I love Raw and SmackDown. Uncle Vince
you're
can do no
great.
wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I loved it too back in like 2002. It was good then.
I was working there then.
If Clinton and Epstein are on the Lolita Express, listen to this and they mouth drops and they go, oh, they know. How do they know all this?
We don't want to be on their radar. It's not
Bill Clinton, we coming for you. No, never mind.
You'll have to, if you do that, then the DDP will have to talk to TMZ Sports and then somehow segue into the night he won the world title.
I remember
talking about
when,
Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan racism means that
Hamin.
I'm going to tell you a story about the night I won the world title. That makes no sense.
Stevie was right there with
strong
me,
stuff.
and he said to me, "You are one of the best wrestlers I've ever met in my life, DDP." But what does that have to do with the racism? Yeah, I remember Stevie always saying that to me.
How about I got to give a shout out to Strangler Steve King, one of my reporters here at Hamin Media Group. How about that video he sent over with the car auction and Nancy Brown gets up there from the Heart Association?
Man, that was tremendous.
Just shout out Strangler Steve.
Stevie side piece.
Yeah, follow at
so
Strangler
triggered.
Steve. Give him a follow at Strangler Steve. He's always sending me good stuff to send along. But that was a great video to actually hear. It was like the charity for the Heart Association, and of course, it's Nancy Brown working a nonprofit
Brown popped huge for that.
at a millionaire's car auction, nonetheless. So. But yeah, you guys, I want to say thanks to Vince Russo once again in podcast one. That's one thing I didn't go into. I'll put the shoot on. I'm not trying to avoid it. I don't even remember what I said about Russo. Probably shooting my mouth off, but whatever it is between him and Corny, whatever heat they had, they both can be carny in their own ways. I worked with, and Russo thought this was the first time we worked together back when I was on WrestleZone.com. We did 2 interviews, so I must not have had a huge impression, but he seems to be enjoying Stevie and my presence on the Raw and SmackDown report, and we've gotten all positive feedback there through Twitter. So thanks to all the Russo brand listeners for putting that over. Not in it to, if things are good, we'll say they're good. Unfortunately, there's very little to talk about that way. So we'll keep it
it's
real.
It's all good, Vince.
No, it's not. It's not. And you should hire me, and I'll be happy to come over there and $5 face slap everybody and fix your product.
That's what I'm wondering. That sound effect.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up, you guys. We'll take it home. Do some plugs here, and we'll y'all out of here. Go ahead, Sally.
Oh, you want me to go? Papa Don's got,
Yeah.
No, I got nothing. Papa Don, you usually have the most, so go ahead.
All right. Well, let's see. This weekend, I have NYWC, Deer Park, New York. Check it out, nywcwrestling.com. Next month, I have Ronin in Florida. I have JAP on the 24th of February. Yeah, well, no, that's a good thing because I'm making my return after being banished for 12 years. Then
Jewish American Princess Wrestling is awesome.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Then I have what do I have? Vanguard Championship Wrestling in Virginia on the 10th of March. And off the top of my head, that's all I remember. And I'll hit you guys later on when I remember more stuff. Oh, go check out my YouTube channel at Greek God Papadon. You can find me at Twitter at Greek God Papadon, Facebook, Demetrius Papadon, and then my Pro Wrestling Tees store, Pro Wrestling Tees / Greek God Papadon.
Sally, go for it, brother.
Let's see. I think April 21st. I'll figure out one of the dates. We're going to be at Wrestle Universe at that store in Queens.
I'll be there just to say hello.
All right. That's cool. Me, Guido, Mama Luke, we're going to be there. And I guess that's about it for now.
Cool. Yeah, we put that over on the Impact Attack, and I know I actually had some people reach out. They're pumped, so hopefully they'll bring down a pizza box or a box of pasta or some old ECW merch and have you guys sign something for them, man.
Can barely keep Stevie awake, but that's cool.
I've been up since 3 a.m. Sorry, guys.
Who told you to wake up that early?
My own self-discipline and willpower.
Okay, sir. Calm
Yeah.
down.
I do it myself.
Because I have a responsibility, and I'm going to hit it right now, Ben. I have a responsibility to each and every person that visits StevieRichardsFitness.com and invest in a 12-week resistance band training program. I have to look the part. I have to have accountability for myself, and they can have the same accountability. I'm not reading this off a script like Russo does, by the way.
Wow. Well, it was nice being on podcast.
That's okay. We're all everybody in wrestling is a goof. Come on, man.
That's right.
So you can go there, 12-week resistance band training program. You have full direct email support. Stop cutting me off. I'm starting over. You can go to StevieRichardsFitness.com. I'll keep doing this all night. I can do it all night just like Captain America. So I didn't mean it that way. They might bleep that out too. I'm sorry. So the 12-week resistance and training program with everything you get the direct email support with me. You also get a Facebook group with a supportive, positive group. Lots of testimonials already. Just about a month in. Big Ray, Matthew Schaefer, Ben. Everybody is getting results, and it's going to be a great year. Even though it's a 12-week program, you can stretch it out and scale it over the course of a year. And Sal's about to laugh at me for some reason. I don't even know why. So, and I will not, if that happens, I will not tell you about the night I won the world title. I will keep it on point. I will keep it on point with everything. You can also follow me at BWO Stevie. I'm sure I'll be getting a tweet from Dallas soon. And also you can go to ProWrestlingTees.com /Stevie Richards. And
you can have him on the show.
My Amazon link. And buy from my Amazon link.
Yeah, awesome,
Have
man.
him on the show?
Yeah.
No.
Bang. Yeah, Stevie, I clocked in this week, down 1.5 pounds. I did shoulders workout today, one of my favorite band workouts from StevieRichardsFitness.com. I think that's the best one on there. That's one I feel the most anyway. And I appreciate it, and everybody out there is doing a kick-ass job, man. So just trying to stick to my diet so we look good on our indie dates together down the road here. I'll be at Upstate Pro Wrestling in Rochester for St. Valentine's Day Massacre on February 10th. I'll be defending my Dynasty Tag Team Championships on the 24th. More dates, new dates coming in March. I'm going to Canada, possibly Buffalo. So got those because of them hearing us on Russo. So looking forward to maybe come to Crossfire and down to Blueprint Wrestling in Florida possibly. So just keep an eye out at bin_Hamin. Petition out there to have me and Dick Justice face each other in the final battle at All In. So if you want to sign that or tweet at Bullet Club and all those guys, hit them up at bin_Hamin. ProWrestlingTees.com /BinHamin for the greatest satire and offensive shirts in all of pro wrestling. There's no one who can touch us. And right now, you've just been crushed, infidels, by the Conspiracy Horsemen, Big Salbowski, Dr. Stevie, the Greek god Papadon the Inventor, and Hacker Hamin, who'll come to your town, bring your $5 to an indie show, moron, and I'll slap you across your moron face and get you on youtube.com /BinHamin before my channel gets banned and shut down, because you've just had your mind awakened, your eyes open, and your spirit is soaring now because of the Conspiracy Horsemen, infidels. Tune in, subscribe, hackerhamin.podbean.com, iTunes, and here on Russo Brand on Podcast One. YOLO!
Strong finish. Good job, Papadon.